Something strange is happening around Kendrick Lamar's tour, and fans are starting to panic. Reports are swirling that one of Kendrick's major shows has been abruptly cancelled, and now insiders are whispering something even bigger. The industry may be quietly trying to shut the entire tour down next. What was supposed to be a victory lap after one of the most talked-about rap battles in history is suddenly surrounded by confusion, silence, and unanswered questions. And the lack of clear explanations is only making things worse. Fans who had tickets in hand were blindsided. No detailed statement, no real breakdown, just a sudden cancellation that immediately set social media on fire. Within minutes, theories exploded online. Some say it's logistical issues. Others claim venue problems. But a growing number of fans believe there's something deeper going on, something industry-related that Kendrick can't openly speak about. The timing alone has people raising eyebrows, especially given the tension surrounding Kendrick's recent dominance, his outspoken stance against industry games, and the uncomfortable position his success has put certain power players in. What makes this situation even more suspicious is Kendrick's history. He's never been an artist who plays by the industry's rules. He challenges labels, exposes uncomfortable truths, and refuses to water down his message. And now, right as his influence feels stronger than ever, a major disruption hits his tour. Fans are asking the obvious question: is this about business, or is this about control? Industry insiders are reportedly divided. Some believe the cancellation is isolated and temporary. Others suggest it's a warning shot, a signal that Kendrick's current momentum and message may be too disruptive for certain gatekeepers. The idea that the industry might want to end the tour entirely sounds extreme, but fans point out that this wouldn't be the first time an artist faced resistance after becoming too powerful or too independent. As speculation grows, silence from official channels is only fueling concern. Every delay, every vague response, every unanswered question adds to the sense that something bigger is unfolding behind closed doors. One cancelled show may not seem like much, but in Kendrick Lamar's world, nothing happens by accident. And fans are now watching closely, wondering if this is just the beginning of a much larger fight between artistry and industry control. The cancellation of Kendrick Lamar's show didn't just surprise fans. It immediately triggered alarm bells across the hip-hop world. Kendrick is not an artist known for sloppy planning or sudden breakdowns, which is exactly why this moment feels different. When ticket holders received vague notifications with little explanation, frustration turned into suspicion almost instantly. Fans weren't just asking why the show was cancelled. They were asking who made the call and what might be happening behind the scenes. In today's industry, silence is often louder than statements, and the quiet surrounding this situation has only intensified speculation. Kendrick's tour was shaping up to be more than a musical event. It represented momentum, dominance, and a moment of cultural authority following one of the most explosive periods in modern rap history. Every stop was sold out or trending in that direction. Crowds weren't just coming for music, they were coming for a statement. That's what made the sudden cancellation feel off. Logistical issues happen, but when they do, artists usually explain. Hey, fans were left with generic wording that answered nothing and raised even more questions. Online, theories exploded within minutes. Some fans pointed to venue complications, insurance disputes, or production delays. Others weren't buying it. They noted the timing. Kendrick's influence was peaking, his message was resonating far beyond rap, and his independence had once again put him at odds with the traditional power structure of the music business. To those fans, this didn't feel accidental, it felt strategic. Kendrick has a long history of challenging the industry's comfort zones, calling out exploitation, and refusing to play along when control is disguised as opportunity. Industry watchers quickly joined the conversation. While some urged caution, others acknowledged a long-standing pattern. Artists who gain too much leverage without industry dependency often face invisible resistance. It doesn't always look like outright bans or public conflicts. Sometimes it looks like sudden cancellations, quiet pressure, or complications that appear technical on the surface. Fans began asking whether this show cancellation was a one-off problem or a test run for something bigger. What added fuel to the fire was the growing rumor that the tour itself could be next. The idea sounds extreme, but history has made fans skeptical. Kendrick's work has never been just entertainment. It forces uncomfortable conversations about power, culture, and control. When an artist becomes both massively popular and ideologically independent, it creates tension. Labels, sponsors, venues, and partners all have stakes, and not all of them benefit from disruption, even when it's profitable. Another layer to the concern is Kendrick's silence. Normally outspoken when it matters, he hasn't directly addressed the cancellation. That absence has been interpreted in multiple ways. Some fans believe he's respecting legal or contractual boundaries. Others suspect ongoing negotiations behind closed doors. In the industry, artists are often restricted from speaking openly while disputes are active. That possibility alone has made fans uneasy, because it suggests the issue may be larger than a scheduling problem. Social media continues to amplify the unease. Clips from past interviews resurfaced, where Kendrick spoke about ownership, autonomy, and resisting industry pressure. Fans connected those dots quickly. To them, this cancellation doesn't exist in isolation. It fits into a broader pattern of tension between an artist who refuses to be controlled and an industry built on control. Whether that interpretation is accurate or not, perception matters. And right now, perception is leaning toward conflict. As Part 1 closes, one thing is clear. This situation has moved beyond a single cancelled show. It has become a symbol of a larger fear, that Kendrick Lamar's independence and influence may be colliding with forces that prefer compliance over creativity. Fans aren't just worried about refunds or rescheduled dates. They are worried about whether this moment marks the beginning of a larger attempt to slow down, silence, or reshape one of the most powerful voices in modern music. As the conversation around Kendrick Lamar's cancelled show continued to grow, attention shifted from the event itself to the systems that control live music at the highest level. Fans began asking uncomfortable questions about how tours really function behind the scenes, and who actually holds the power. While artists are the face of tours, decisions often pass through layers of promoters, venues, sponsors, insurers, and corporate partners. Any disruption at one of those levels can quietly derail an entire operation. And that's exactly why fans suspect the issue may be bigger than a simple scheduling conflict. Industry insiders have long acknowledged that tours are one of the few remaining revenue streams artists truly depend on. Albums spark conversation, but tours generate leverage. When an artist like Kendrick dominates culturally and financially, that leverage shifts away from the industry. And history shows that when leverage shifts too far toward the artist, resistance often follows. Not loudly, but strategically. Sudden complications, renegotiations, or unavoidable circumstances can appear without clear accountability. Fans began revisiting Kendrick's past conflicts with industry expectations. He has consistently rejected traditional rollout formulas, declined overexposure, and avoided endorsement-heavy branding that many artists rely on. This independence has earned him respect, but it has also made him difficult to manage within a system built on predictability and control. Some fans believe the cancellation could be an indirect response to that independence, a reminder that even top-tier artists still operate within structures they don't fully control. Another layer fueling concern is the lack of transparency from third parties. Venues have not offered detailed explanations. Promoters remain vague. No official timeline for resolution has been shared. In the live music world, this silence is telling. When issues are truly minor, communication is fast. When negotiations are tense or ongoing, silence becomes policy. Fans reading between the lines believe something is being worked out behind closed doors, possibly involving tour terms, security expectations, or contractual obligations that Kendrick may be pushing back against. Speculation intensified when rumors surfaced that multiple dates were under review. Even without confirmation, the idea alone rattled fans. If one cancellation could happen so abruptly, what stops more from following? The thought of an entire tour being pressured or restructured sparked outrage. Supporters argue that Kendrick has earned the right to perform on his own terms, without industry interference. Critics countered that large-scale tours involve too many moving parts for any single artist to control fully. What's undeniable is the emotional investment fans have in this tour. For many, attending a Kendrick show isn't just about music. It's about witnessing a moment in culture. His performances are layered, intentional, and deeply symbolic. The possibility that those moments could be limited or reshaped due to unseen pressures has made fans feel protective, even defiant. Online campaigns urging transparency and support began forming, with fans demanding clarity rather than corporate silence. Meanwhile, Kendrick's continued restraint has only added weight to the situation. His refusal to address the issue directly could suggest discipline, but it could also indicate restrictions. In the industry, artists are often contractually limited from speaking during disputes, especially when multiple stakeholders are involved. That reality has made fans more convinced that this isn't random. It's procedural, calculated, and serious. As Part 2 ends, the focus has clearly shifted. This is no longer just about a canceled show. It's about how much control artists truly have, how power operates behind the scenes, and whether Kendrick Lamar's influence has reached a point where it threatens the comfort of the industry itself. Fans aren't just waiting for an update. They are watching a potential power struggle unfold in real time, wondering whether this tour will continue freely or become the next example of how quietly resistance can appear when an artist refuses to bend. As speculation continued to intensify, a deeper conversation began forming around Kendrick Lamar's position in the music industry and why his tour might be facing unusual resistance. Fans weren't just focused on logistics anymore. They were questioning the unspoken rules of success in hip-hop and what happens when an artist stops needing permission. Kendrick's career has been built on intentional distance from industry politics, and many believe that distance is now being tested in real time. Unlike many major artists, Kendrick doesn't flood the market. He doesn't rely on constant visibility, endless interviews, or viral antics to maintain relevance. When he speaks, it's deliberate. When he moves, it's calculated. That approach has earned him unmatched credibility, but it also limits the industry's ability to package, predict, and control him. Fans argue that this makes Kendrick uniquely powerful and uniquely inconvenient. And in an industry that thrives on predictability, inconvenience can become a problem. This is where the idea of quiet pressure starts to make sense for many observers. There doesn't need to be an announcement or public conflict. Pressure can appear as delayed approvals, stricter security requirements, insurance complications, or sudden venue concerns. None of these look like censorship on paper, but together, they can slow momentum. Fans believe the canceled show may be the first visible crack in a system applying that kind of pressure. The timing continues to bother people. Kendrick's cultural presence has been dominant, not just musically but ideologically. His recent work and public silence have carried more weight than constant commentary ever could. In moments like this, influence becomes uncomfortable for systems built to distribute it evenly, or suppress it when it becomes too concentrated. Fans have pointed out that Kendrick isn't just selling out venues. He's shaping narratives, challenging norms, and reminding people that artists don't have to be industry-friendly to be successful. Another factor being discussed is how tours intersect with corporate partnerships. Large tours often involve sponsors, vendors, and promotional agreements that expect a certain level of neutrality. Kendrick's refusal to dilute his message or soften his stance may put those partnerships in an awkward position. If a tour becomes less safe or predictable from a branding perspective, complications can follow, even if no one publicly admits that's the reason. Online, longtime fans began revisiting Kendrick's past statements about ownership and autonomy. Clips resurfaced where he spoke about resisting exploitation and maintaining control over his art. To many, the current situation feels like the natural consequence of those choices. Independence brings freedom, but it also brings friction. And now, that friction may be playing out in the most visible way possible: live performance. At the same time, there's a growing sense of caution. Some fans worry that speculation could spiral into misinformation. Others argue that questioning power structures is necessary, especially when transparency is lacking. The absence of clear communication has left room for interpretation. And in the internet age, interpretation spreads fast. Whether intentional or not, the silence has allowed the narrative to evolve beyond a single canceled date into a broader industry critique. Kendrick's fans, however, remain fiercely loyal. Many have made it clear that if the tour faces further disruption, support will only grow louder. Online discussions have shifted towards solidarity, encouraging patience, understanding, and backing Kendrick regardless of outcome. The idea that an artist should be punished, slowed down, or pressured for refusing to conform has struck a nerve with listeners who see Kendrick as more than a performer. As Part 3 closes, the story feels heavier than ever. What began as a sudden cancellation now sits at the center of a larger conversation about power, independence, and control in music. Whether the industry truly wants to end the tour, or whether this is a temporary clash behind closed doors, one thing is clear. Kendrick Lamar's position has forced uncomfortable questions into the open, and fans are watching closely, knowing that how this situation unfolds could say a lot about who really holds the power when an artist refuses to compromise. As the situation continued to unfold, fans began to notice something even more unsettling. The pattern of silence was no longer isolated. It wasn't just Kendrick Lamar staying quiet. Multiple parties connected to the tour were saying very little or nothing at all. Venues avoided detailed explanations. Promoters offered generic responses. Industry media outlets reported the cancellation but stopped short of digging deeper. To fans, this collective restraint felt coordinated, or at least cautious, as if everyone involved understood there were limits to what could be said publicly. This silence sparked a new wave of discussion about how power operates quietly in the music business. When an artist becomes too influential, the pressure doesn't always arrive as a direct threat. Instead, it shows up as hesitation, delay, or unforeseen issues that no one wants to fully explain. Fans argued that the lack of transparency itself was evidence that something sensitive was happening behind closed doors. If the issue was simple, someone would have clarified it by now. Another concern gaining traction was security. Kendrick's shows attract massive crowds, and his recent cultural dominance has only increased attention. Some fans speculated that heightened security demands or insurance concerns could be playing a role. In the live music industry, increased risk can translate into increased restrictions. If those restrictions clash with an artist's vision or values, tension follows. Fans wondered whether Kendrick had been asked to compromise in ways he wasn't willing to accept, and whether that refusal could be contributing to disruptions. The idea that the industry might be trying to slow the tour down rather than cancel it outright also gained momentum. Subtle interference doesn't spark immediate backlash, but it can gradually drain momentum. One canceled show leads to uncertainty. Uncertainty leads to reduced confidence. Reduced confidence gives institutions leverage. Fans believe this approach is far more effective than direct confrontation, especially with an artist as respected as Kendrick. Online discussions also turned toward history. Veteran fans pointed out that Kendrick isn't the first artist to face complications after reaching a certain level of independence. While every situation is different, the pattern feels familiar. An artist challenges norms, gains massive influence, and suddenly encounters unexplained obstacles. Whether intentional or coincidental, the parallels have made fans wary. Despite the tension, there's also a growing sense of resolve among supporters. Many have expressed that even if the tour faces changes, Kendrick's message and impact remain untouched. Some fans have even argued that attempts to limit his reach only strengthen his credibility. In their eyes, resistance confirms relevance. The more pressure he faces, the clearer it becomes why his voice matters. Industry observers remain divided. Some insist this is a temporary issue that will resolve quietly. Others believe it signals a deeper clash between artistic autonomy and corporate structure. What both sides agree on is that Kendrick's situation has exposed how fragile large-scale artistic freedom can be when it intersects with money, branding, and control. As Part 4 ends, the story feels less like a rumor and more like a standoff, quiet, unresolved, and unfolding in real time. Fans are no longer just waiting for updates. They're questioning the systems that make those updates necessary. Whether the tour continues uninterrupted or faces further challenges, one truth has become undeniable. Kendrick Lamar's influence has reached a level where even small disruptions carry massive meaning. And how the industry responds next may reveal more than any official statement ever could. By the time the conversation reached this stage, the cancelled Kendrick Lamar show had evolved into something far bigger than a scheduling issue. What fans were now witnessing felt like a quiet power struggle, one that didn't need press conferences or public accusations to be real. The lack of clarity, the controlled messaging, and the growing tension around the two had turned this into a moment of reckoning, not just for Kendrick, but for the industry itself. Supporters began to shift their focus from fear to resolve. Instead of asking whether the two would survive, many started asking what this moment revealed about Kendrick's position. An artist doesn't face this level of scrutiny unless they've reached a place of undeniable influence. Kendrick isn't dependent on constant releases or media approval, and that independence has made him both powerful and unpredictable. Fans now believe that the uncertainty surrounding the tour is a response to that unpredictability. The idea that the industry could quietly pressure an artist without ever admitting it became central to the discussion. No one expects an outright cancellation announcement that would spark backlash. Instead, influence is applied indirectly, through contracts, logistics, insurance, and partnerships. Each of those layers has veto power, and when they move cautiously or defensively, progress slows. Fans argue that this is how resistance looks in modern entertainment: subtle, bureaucratic, and hard to prove. At the same time, Kendrick's silence has begun to feel intentional rather than concerning. Many believe he understands the moment and refuses to feed speculation. Speaking too soon could limit his options or strengthen narratives he doesn't control. By staying quiet, he maintains leverage. That restraint has only deepened fans' respect, reinforcing the idea that Kendrick plays the long game, even when pressure is high. Another theme emerging is legacy. Fans are reflecting on how moments like this shape an artist's story. Tours come and go, but the stance an artist takes during conflict defines how they are remembered. If Kendrick is indeed resisting behind-the-scenes pressure, supporters see it as consistent with everything he stood for. Even if the tour faces changes, they believe his integrity remains untouched. The broader industry is watching closely. Promoters, artists, and executives all understand the implications. If someone at Kendrick's level can face obstacles without explanation, it sends a message, either about the limits of independence or about the risks of challenging established systems. That tension has turned this situation into a quiet test case, one that could influence how future artists approach ownership, touring, and creative control. As discussions continue, one thing has become clear: attempts to limit Kendrick's momentum have only amplified attention. Fans are more engaged, more protective, and more vocal than ever. The cancellation didn't weaken interest, it intensified it. Instead of shrinking his reach, the controversy expanded it, pulling in people who might not have been watching before. By the end of Part 5, the narrative stands at a crossroads. Either this moment passes quietly, with the tour moving forward as planned, or it becomes a defining example of how power responds when challenged. Whatever happens next, Kendrick Lamar has already proven one thing: his influence extends far beyond stages and ticket sales. And whether the industry likes it or not, that influence isn't something that can be cancelled.